Simon Calder, travel correspondent for The Independent, joins me. We meet again, Simon. I don't know whether you've seen it. When it says, when Simon Calder's face you see on your flight, you will not be. Have you seen this going around social media?
I have. Awful. I'm so sorry.
I love
don't
it.
ever want to talk to you again about disruption.
No,
but
I know.
Here we are, Sheila. It's absolutely awful. And look, there's a different degrees of disruption. Those Argentinian school children, obviously really upsetting and concerning for them, but they're actually in a really good position because the airline should be rebooking them as soon as possible, flying them from Dublin to Miami and from there to Buenos Aires. They don't need to go through Heathrow, and British Airways has an absolute obligation to get them there as soon as possible. Your trip is going to be affected like so many others. People just cancelling their weekends away or having them cancelled. British Airways, which of course is far more affected than all the other airlines put together, just put out a statement following the power outage that's caused the closure of London Heathrow. We cancelled all short-haul flights that were due to operate to and from the airport today. Well, yeah, we know that. Presumably, they've also cancelled all the long-haul flights because Heathrow says it's going to be closed. They say we will update our customers as soon as possible. We ask them not to travel to Heathrow. Now, I happen to be booked on a flight from Glasgow to London Heathrow. Can you believe I managed to buy it a couple of hours after they announced that the airport wasn't going to be running? BA, I went on to check that they weren't selling tickets. Well, they did sell me one. And then it took a couple of hours after that before they said, oh, by the way, it's not going. I've just this minute got my rebooking, which is tomorrow night from Glasgow to Heathrow. I think I might well be on a train before that. But crucially, they don't seem to have told me, oh, yeah, and of course, we'll pay for your hotel and your meals till we can get you back. And it's crucial that people understand their rights. You're not going to get any cash compensation. What you are entitled to is a duty of care. And that means the airline gets you to your destination as swiftly as possible, such as for those Argentinian school children in Ireland. And that while you're waiting, they are providing the hotel, they are providing the meals. You should not be out of pocket.
That's really important that you reiterate that, and I will as well over and over, because people don't necessarily know that, do they? They don't necessarily hear all those details, and wading through the links that the airlines send you is often very difficult as well. Let's go back to what's happened here, Simon. I know that neither you nor I can say for sure what caused this fire. The fire brigade can't say yet, or if they can, they're not sharing it with us yet. This is extraordinary, isn't it? That one electricity substation that serves our main airport, plus those many thousands of homes in the surrounding area, should be outed like this with no immediate alternative or backup. Do we know why that no backup was available?
Look, there are backups. So, for example, I can be absolutely sure that, for example, air traffic control, the runway and taxiway lighting, those will not be affected. They will be working just as they normally are, because those are absolutely critical pieces of safety infrastructure for basically, if an aircraft suddenly needs to divert, they've got to have the lights on, they've got to have the controllers in place. But, of course, the airport only works when you've got electricity powering the baggage belts, when you've got it running the IT, and to have a single point of failure looks really quite surprising. It's not the first time we've seen power problems. Gatwick had one in one of the terminals a few years ago. That just lasted a few hours. This is far more serious, an order of magnitude worse. Over 1,300 flights cancelled, 250,000 people disrupted so far today, and that will be increasing by the tens of thousands tomorrow, I fear. And yes, there will be lots of questions asked about how can this possibly happen when this is the most critical piece of transport infrastructure in Europe.
And a word on what some of the airlines are doing on flight alternatives, because it may be different with BA. I'm not sure, but I checked whether Aer Lingus had a flight tomorrow morning, which I could have taken. If the airport opens again, that is, and it does. But it was my ticket would have gone from £40, which it cost today, to £465. Never, ever have I seen a plane ticket for an hour's flight to Shannon cost that much.
No, and it does seem absolutely ridiculous, except that it's the market. A seat to Dublin for somebody who needs to get there for a family wedding is an extremely valuable asset, and the airlines know it. And they will be, by the way, this will cost them tens of millions of pounds in lost revenue, in customer care costs. And so they are going to be making every single penny they can. And if that's what the market can bear, well, so be it. And, some people will be, as we speak, on the train to Holyhead in North Wales and then getting the ferry across to Dublin, because that remains a fairly inexpensive thing. But yes, it's going to be reflected all the way across. Ryanair have put on a couple of extra flights each way between Dublin and
rescue
Stansted.
rescue flights, they've called them. I mean, for goodness sake.
Oh no, but that's fair enough. EasyJet say they're putting on extra large aircraft on their key routes, and so people, that they are absolutely exploiting the situation. But that is the way of the airline industry, making hay when the sun shines, and indeed while Heathrow is closed.
Rescue flights, a bit cynical, isn't it? It's not like they're rescuing people in dire need. They're making them pay through the nose for a seat on a plane.
Well, Michael O'Leary, I think, the chief executive of Ryanair, would characterise it as we're putting a product into the marketplace. If you want it, that's great.
I'm sure he would.
If you don't, that's fine. The ferry is over there. I have some sympathy with that, actually.
Okay.
Anyway, but I'm mostly concerned that people know what their rights are and that they are given those rights.
I mean, it's hard to say, but it's looking like this is going to go on significantly into the weekend, isn't it?
Look, I'm hoping that when Heathrow at 3 o'clock this morning came out and said, we're going to close for the whole day, that was due to an abundance of caution and not wanting the crowds of tens, hundreds of thousands of people turning up at Heathrow and basically not being able to get out, and that they believe that they'll be able to switch the lights back on this evening and have a fairly normal day tomorrow. Now, it's going to be not a normal day, particularly for British Airways, because so many of their planes and their pilots and their cabin crew are out of position. But it might be kind of 70% normal. So I'm expecting the numbers affected tomorrow in terms of cancellations probably to be in the high tens, so maybe 60, 70, 80,000. And that's assuming that things go well. If they don't, and Heathrow doesn't reopen, then I'm afraid we've got another a quarter of a million people who will be out of position. And of course, for everybody trying to leave Heathrow, there's an equal and opposite person trying to get home or get away to see their family or loved ones.
And as you say, the question of crew as well is an important one, isn't it? Thank you very much, Simon. Always good to talk to you.